Welcome to It's Just Middle School with Sarah and
Kelly. If you're joining us for the first time today, we are two fabulous veteran middle school teachers with middle schoolers of our own that love talking about middle school.
Our passion is to support parents and educators in understanding the middle school years through research, experience, and casual conversation.
If you're returning to our show, welcome back.
Let's jump into this episode's buzzword.
Fun. How do you define fun in middle school?
Is fun and engagement the same thing?
As someone not there during the school day, what ways can you assess if fun is occurring? Boring.
Scenario 1. As your child slowly climbs in the car, you ask, "So what did you do at school today?" They reply, "Nothing. School just isn't fun this year. It's so boring." And look out the window. How in the world did they go from loving every single aspect of school to now not telling you anything? You saw they were playing a review game in science and that at least sounded fun. Why isn't your child enjoying school anymore? The game must have been really boring. How is that possible? School should be fun sometimes, right?
Or, from the teacher perspective, you think, what a class. Oh my goodness, they were jumping up and down. So much engagement. And they actually looked like they were remembering things. You couldn't believe the fun everyone was having. Then, after school, you see an email asking why their child never seemed to be having fun in school. They say it used to be fun and science should be fun. But they say it's boring and ask what you plan to do to change that. As a teacher, you are baffled. Scenario 2. Your child pops in the car. "Wow, Mom, that was a really fun meeting." Your child's beaming from ear to ear. You haven't seen them that happy in a while, so you ask what happened. They said they broke into groups and discussed how they were going to impact the school. Then they add how their idea was selected as one that would be taken to the next level for administration approval about collecting supplies for a local mission. And they end with, "It was so fun."
Or, from the teacher's perspective, the looks the students were giving you were like deer in headlights as you explained the directions, and each group needed to come up with ideas to help a local mission. As the sponsor for the group, you wanted the ideas to come completely from them. That way they would be engaged and have fun, and you didn't have anything major to add except they needed to listen to each other and write down 3 ideas that they'd like to present to the whole student organization. Was it fun?
So honestly, some days we have no idea if fun is happening or not.
And that's as a teacher and as a parent.
Absolutely. I think we try and make it as fun as possible, but sometimes it's just really hard to tell.
Yeah, and there is a perception out there that learning has to be fun. And if you ask students or children what is fun about school, it's not learning that they go to. It's the extra stuff.
Right.
It's the
It's
social
the fun.
stuff. It's the fun stuff. But
stuff.
The idea of going to recess or the idea of talking with friends or
After school clubs. Activities.
But academics never really truly often come up. So a teacher could have the most engaging lesson ever, and the reaction will seem engaging, but as soon as the students exit the room, it is not it's not what they jump in the car to tell mom and dad about quickly.
Right. So part of today, we want to give you some research to back up why fun is important in our classroom, and then maybe ways to kind of pull out that fun when you get home.
And it seems like the word fun shouldn't be a buzzword because it's such a simplistic term. Of course, fun, but it's inserted in all of our conversations between parent and child and teacher to teacher and teacher to student. So we thought it would be a valuable word to explore today in our research.
And now, the wee bit of research.
In the Atlanta Journal, Maureen Downey interviews educator Chris Baum on his recently published Finding the Magic in Middle School. Baum offers an apt comparison for the the crazy adolescent years, comparing them to river rafting. And he says adolescents go back and forth between this is awesome and I can fall out of a boat at any second, is incredibly fun and really scary. In Baum's metaphor over river rafting, parents essentially are on the shore watching their children navigate the river and watching them have that sense of scare. Oh no, they're gonna fall out of the boat. Oh no, they're and then that sense of smiling where they and absolute joy where they crash into a wave, and there's that sense of woohoo, that sense of fun. In his book, he talks about also the sense of belonging, sense of authenticity, and achievement as being the pillars of establishing the magic within the middle school. Now, this is mainly for social emotional learning, but what makes it spark, what makes the magic happen, are those three things. And so when we look at that metaphor of that river rafting and the fun aspect, we can kind of see that fun culminating to those three pillars: the belonging, the authenticity, and achievement, understood by the student.
Right, because when a kid gets off a boat after that experience, they're most likely going to say, that was so fun.
Yeah, the thrill, right? The thrill of that excitement piece in that river rafting trip. And I think that's the fun that students, we wish, experience, because they learn something from that fun, from that ownership, from that authenticity, where they find hopefully meaning and purpose in what they're doing.
Right, and there's also a sense of independence in that. So I think in middle school, our kids really do find fun in the degrees of independence that we can give them as well.
Yeah, like the I did it. Yes, I got it.
The proud factor. Where there's, it's kind of, we're talking about the meaning and the purpose again, but yes, it's all of those.
There's that scare element, right? There's the in the river rafting metaphor. You're like, oh no, this rapids ahead. I don't know if I can do it. But the fun that comes from it is actually doing it and enjoying the thrill. And to refabricate it in a classroom environment is super tricky. Oh my goodness.
We can't go rafting every day.
No, can't go rafting. I'd like to go rafting every
Physically.
day. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I would like to go rafting every day. But there is a book called Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess, and he has some really cool things to say about engagement. And that mindset that a teacher has in creating fun within the classroom.
In this, he talks a lot about that piece of independence and creativity too, and how great teachers create those experiences that allow students to take risks and hit on what they value. In his little pirate acronym, actually, stands for something cool, like P for passion, I for immersion, R is rapport, A is to ask and analyze, T is transformation, and E is enthusiasm. And really, I think good teachers really do strive to hit all of those things when they're planning their lessons. We want the passion. We want the experience for them to ask and analyze. We want them to be enthusiastic and kind of transformed by the learning, whether a room transformation happened or it was just in the figurative sense.
Yeah, and I think when I look at the definition of fun, it equates fun to amusement. It equates fun to teasing and joking and sort of this lighthearted pleasure, right? And
which can't always be created in the middle school experience, because we still have standards.
Yeah.
And we still have things we have to teach, and sometimes those are not joyful.
Try making capitalization fun in sixth grade. It is super hard. Like, guys, you know this. Let's do this. But that
I feel you. One-step equations can kind of be there too.
How many times do we need to practice until we get it right? So there's that coaching aspect and practicing a skill that doesn't always equate to fun, but it is that preparation to have that fun. When you're going river rafting, you're going to have a safety training session before you actually jump in the boat.
Absolutely. You
got to know, what to do in the event of an emergency. Like, I feel like those guardrails are the skills, and then when you put them in the boat, that's the test. That is the the project. That is the assessment, is the river rafting journey in a lot of ways. Well, that's
right.
the learning.
We have to give the tools before we can do the experience in a lot of cases.
And I like what Dave Burgess said in Teach Like a Pirate. He said it has nothing to do, when we're looking at classroom learning, it has nothing to do with the dictionary definition and everything to do with the spirit. Pirates are daring, adventurous, and willing to set forth into uncharted territories with no guarantee of success. They reject the status quo and refuse to conform to any society that stifles creativity and independence. They are entrepreneurs who take risks and are willing to travel to the ends of the earth for that which they value.
Arrgh!
Arrgh! I love it. But the idea being that that you as a teacher or as a parent are enthusiastic and engaged in something, then your students are going to reciprocate that passion, that interest.
Right.
And
And
then
be
that's where fun
engaged.
would be. And that's where the fun would be, and the engagement lies, I think, in the connection.
And we know as adults, we are definitely more engaged and learn new systems better when we are having fun. Henry Cloak, within Growth Engineering Company, markets to companies to help employees navigate growth. And they talk a lot about how fun helps learning by providing the following information. A recent study showed that 91% of learners value fun in learning. So why wouldn't kids? It's effective. Gamification can improve company productivity by 50%, and learning games increases our knowledge retention by 9%. So games are obviously used a lot in our education piece.
Yeah, I love that gamification. It's essentially what Harry Cloak is talking about and discusses, is that how fun can change behavior and create healthier habits when fun is there. There's this great video he has on his website for Growth Engineering called The Fun Theory.
It's so cool. He builds this whole machine where you recycle bottles.
Right.
And it shoves it in.
Like an arcade machine.
Yeah.
So they created this whole new box that would take in bottles. So it has but it has a light up component and a point value system. So the more you put in, the more points you get. And it's like an arcade machine.
Yeah. And people were walking away laughing and smiling. And my favorite was the little kids that were doing the little
dance.
dance.
Victory dance.
They were having fun.
Yeah.
But it was also to promote recycling.
Yeah.
It was this whole little experiment, I'm sure.
Right.
Not
and
just to promote recycling.
Right. They had another box across the street, and it was only used twice in one day, whereas this box that was created was used over and over and over again. So it's natural for human nature, I think, to desire fun, but it cannot have the result of changing behavior.
So the research that they collected showed that there were really 4 main components to fun: gamification, the social element, personalization, and brain science. Because when fun is occurring, we should see a rise in dopamine and endorphins. There's positivity involved, and that creates fun.
Sounds fun. In the book Just Ask Us by Heather Rolpert, those 4 concepts are brought up again in the feedback gathered by the author. So the author book is pretty, the title of it is What She Ended Up Doing. She asked students what made school fun. And those 4 concepts were brought up. Students want to talk to each other. They want to utilize technology. They want movement. So ultimately, if it engages the teacher, it will engage the student. So I also read this article over fun in the classroom, and I put fun in quotes. If you can see my air quotes, fun in quotes. Edutopia had this article, and it questioned the additional expectation of teachers to be fun educators, as in entertainment, like another role to add to the teacher spectrum of responsibility was that they had to entertain students. What do you think, Kelly? Should teachers be the entertainers to engage?
I don't think they have to be.
Yeah.
But I really do think with what we're competing with in the world, they're going home and they're plugging into what they consider entertainment. So for us to be engaging, there is a sense of entertainment that you kind of need to do.
Yeah, and that's hard. Like, I feel like I didn't go into teaching to be the stand-up comedian. Yet middle schoolers tend to get that out of me. I feel like I can be a stand-up comic now. I think
you get the one-liners down.
I got the one-liners. I think I can do it. But it would be the same pay.
It might work less, though.
It might work. Yeah, why
But I do think that I'm always trying to think of ways to make class more entertaining. Maybe not necessarily by me, but in what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the activity has to have a little bit of an amusement to it, or a little bit, and it might not be cohesive to the activity. I know that a lot of teachers tend to have a gamification outside of the material because they know that their class is full of basketball players. So you know what? We're going to make a slam dunk sort of
Trash ball?
A trash ball, yeah.
Which, for those of you that are not aware, that's really playing basketball with trash cans or some other type of basket object. They get questions right, they get the opportunity to score.
And that, for me, I would really hate that because students would not score it, and then I'd have little balls of paper all around the floor, and then I'd get like super anxious. So for me,
you have to go for the rebound.
Oh, I know, but then they don't, because they're 6th, 7th graders and they don't care. So, and it just doesn't fit my
Your
authentic self.
right.
It doesn't, I'm not a sports kind of girl.
Which we know is important from this research, that the authenticity has to come from the teacher as well.
Yeah, because if I did it, it would be very boring. Like, I wouldn't know how to make it fun, except in the activity itself, and then I wouldn't know what to do with myself as the cheerleader. Like, yeah, 3, is that a 3-pointer? Is that a 1? Is that a no point? That's a pickup. That's what that is.
Well, that is funny. I've actually never played trash ball. I've seen it done, but I've never experienced the playing of it.
Yeah.
But games are one of the big ways I try and make math engaging and fun too.
Yeah.
Like when we do our warm up, we have this math bingo board.
Yeah.
And when it's full, then we pull things for prizes, and it's just a way to make the warm up fun.
Right.
Or more fun.
And I like
because they
that.
got to do it.
Because it's cohesive too. Like the material is within the game and not outside of the game.
Right.
I like Jeopardy. Kids like to do Jeopardy sometimes in groups. But how to make, we end up doing a physical embodiment of a buzzer when we do Jeopardy. So they have to, they're in teams and they have to jump up. They have to designate someone to jump up out of their chair, and they think it's the funnest thing in the planet because when they are moving,
They're moving.
and
Yes.
they compete to see who can get out of their chair the fastest. Like, I got some good jumpers that can on the edge of their seat jump.
Like a roll of masking tape.
Yeah.
And the first one who grabs the masking tape gets to be the one to answer the questions.
That's fun.
Because that was back in the day before buzzer technology was around even.
Well, then, because there's also this idea of using, getting caught up in technology. I love technology. I like gamification. As I'm a gamer myself, I do love it. But I do think we get caught up in sometimes looking at technology as what's needed, and when the very basics could be just as fun. Like, they were having fun standing up out of their seat. I don't need a
you don't need a computer program to help
$90
that.
buzzer, right?
And sometimes they like to come up with those kind of things. Like,
Yeah.
what can we do to make this?
That's resourcefulness.
One of my favorite games that I found last year was I found it on a math Facebook group. But it was called the Unfair Game.
Okay.
And it is literally, that's the direction. It is unfair. Someone can steal you can steal prizes from people. And the prizes, are hysterical. All these different people would, give different prizes and options. But the favorite prize is a potato. And I was like, no way, I have to try this just to see if it works. The kids were berserko over this potato. They named the potato. It got passed around the room.
That's
so they have
very
to
middle
answer
school.
right. They had to answer questions, And as we went through, if they got their answer correct, then they got to put their name on the board
Right.
in different game spots. And some bags were completely empty.
Yeah.
Like they may have won a prize and it was nothing because they picked it was unfair. Haha.
I think the other element of gamification that's useful and fun is what you had mentioned, a scoreboard, is that validation piece in middle school. I was reading 10 to 25 by Dr. David Yeager, and he had mentioned that students, particularly in these 10 years of age, 25 years of age, really respond well to status and respect, right? And so having that visual of
There's
scoreboard,
a
there's a status
the top
there.
3, the leaderboard.
And I think that helps in creating that healthy competition that is lighthearted, and it's not taken seriously. It's not a grade-based system.
Well, and sometimes there's the purpose in that too. Like,
Yeah.
what is the purpose of us doing the activity? Well, I want to be on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
I wanna
that
beat
can be a
so-and-so.
purpose in itself. Sometimes, and even though it might not be the purpose that we want, because they really want to learn, we want them to learn the material. That it's twofold.
It's indirect. It'll be fine.
That's right. Very, very true. So, what other things do you do in your class to make it fun?
I said that I'm not really a sportsy person. I'm very much the standard stereotypical English teacher in the arts and drama world. So what I loved doing was creating live action role play scenarios.
Do you like voices?
I love voices. I love reading out loud.
You may not have been able to tell by our podcast that she likes voices.
I like the voice. I just think it's really fun. But I like adding that to the classroom because I do see, and it might just be because I'm joyful in it, that the students receive that joy and try it out and feel safe to try it out on their own. But my favorite activity is creating a mythology symposium where they not just research myths, but they totally embody the character that they're researching, and they have to act as that character in a spontaneous mission I give them. So they don't know the scenario I'm going to give them. It'll be something similar to
It's a little different than the museum.
It's a little different than the museum because it's on the spot thinking.
Yeah.
Which it's just so much fun because they can react, because I react in so many ways and use the space in a stage-like platform. They feel like they can do that themselves. And so I will have students jump on a chair and the quietest in the room claim to high heaven as Athena that she desires war and will go to war with Ares. And it's fantastic. So it creates fun.
It does create fun. One of my favorite new things is I have a dance button. Because I like to dance. I'm not a great dancer. I'm like not coaching the dance team or anything when we say this. But like, I think it's just fun. Like we do Just Dance on our downtime. And or like if we have brain breaks or like we need something to do, we like pull out some Just Dance. And I love just doing the dances with them.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like sometimes the fun is when, what does Miss Webb do that is stupid? Sometimes that is a fun. When you can laugh at yourself and they're laughing. Sometimes it's the laughter.
Yeah.
I love creating laughter.
One of the I love doing the Just Dances that are multiplayer and have interaction, like the Waka Waka video.
Yes, that's
has
so fun.
4 people, and so there's always competitions. If you don't know, Waka Waka has 4 characters, and one of the moves that they make is creating a bicycle out of the 4 of them.
That was
and
funny.
so, and then one person has to be tossed and get into the arms of the other 3 gently, of course. That's like the competition part of it. Like, all right, who can do this the best without dropping each other? But it is challenging fun. There's another one.
If you want to have some fun at home, you can totally Google some Just Dances and have
There's some good ones.
great Friday evening. Your middle schools will totally roll their eyes at you, and it'll be great.
My favorite one, and you never know what comes out when you give students opportunities to be themselves and to be goofy in the middle school environment. I think that's kind of an element of that fun.
The authenticity.
It really brings out themselves as well. There was we did a Just Dance video with Rasputin,
My kids love that one.
They
They ask to do that one all the time. Like, that's in their top 5.
And I would see some incredible strength skills that our middle schools have, because that is intense on your thighs, man. That is
Like, if you're
intense.
seeing Rasputin from, like, Russian Rasputin, like, that is, it's like Russian dances.
dance. Right, going all the way
So,
up. That's crazy
it is,
movement.
it is impressive,
Yeah.
the skills that they have.
And they can't see that in an academic, strict traditional academic setting. But to throw it in as a brain break, it really brings out students' personalities and gives them that ownership and that sense of belonging, that authentic self, in a way that makes the room fun, and therefore their learning can be in that positive space. Even
Yes.
though if I'm talking about capitalization, I know it will string them along if I can
We can start
build
the
a
room
just
with positivity
dance.
of some sort. Or... Right. So it kind of goes with that balance. Like, yes, we are trying to have fun, but we also use the fun to create engagement
Yeah.
so that the lesson, even tedious or...
Or how they approach it. They're going to approach it with a positive feel.
Right.
And I think that's really important, even though the act itself might be of practice, like you are drilling a skill just like you would with any sport itself. At some point, that's going to happen. But if I can start it with a positive feel and then end it with application, then I think there's magic in that.
Magic in the middle.
Magic in the middle.
We as teachers are always striving for engagement, which we hope is considered fun. But we know that's not always the case. Most of the fun is in the extra stuff, the sports, the brain breaks, the conversations in groups. So if you ask about fun, you might not always get the information you're hoping for. But we've come up with a little bit of strategy for you.
In the spirit of Just Ask Us by Heather Rolbert, we thought we would flip the switch bit and say just ask them some questions that parents can ask students. And with a flair of the river rafting metaphor that we mentioned earlier by Chris Baum, we thought we'd give you 2 serious questions and 1 giggle question, just as if you're combing through the rapids of questions and then you got some really strong rapids ahead of you and a nice little bump of giggle, nice little thrill of fun. So here we go.
Just ask them. Did you work with other people today? How was that? What was the goal? Or were there competitions involved in any classes today? Who won? Was it you? And finally, did you meet the love of your life today?
I love that question.
I know.
I am so excited to ask that question every day to my son. 'Cause I think
Well,
it would be
I have a
fun.
kind of a funny side note on this story. So on Friday in my son's class, they were talking about marriage traditions and social studies, and he got nominated to be voluntold to be the groom getting married to another student in class. And I just saw him in the hall, and he wasn't making eye contact with me. But there was this other kid, he was like, and guess who I had to marry? And I was like, what? Like, that's what I hear out of the corner of my ear. And his face is so red, and he's just like giggle mode. And I was like, this totally, like, like this was the giggle. Like, and he doesn't like her. But you could tell, like, maybe there was a little crush, and I don't even know. But it's so funny.
He at least thought about it.
Right. So definitely a giggle. Definitely a giggle.
You can just ask them, did you play any games? Were they physical or digital? How did you do? What was the most interesting question discussed today? And for a giggle question, were there any creepy crawler sightings? A cockroach, a wasp, an ant? How was it handled?
These things happen.
These things happen.
They are true.
I remember a wasp flew into my classroom and the kids all freaked out. And we have a sort of reward character card-based system, like your points in the house points.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if anyone can kill this thing, I will give you. And we spent like 10 minutes trying to track it down, and they did it, and it was great. So all these wonderful classroom conversations
yes.
are...
We do a Friday check-in, and one of our Friday check-ins just last week was what was the coolest thing that happened today, and one of our students wrote, killing the cockroach in my classroom. I was like, okay,
It's a
apparently
thing.
that was a thing.
It happens. It's a great question.
I didn't even remember. It occurred, but it was a big deal for her. And just ask them, what shocked you about the events of the day? What would you title the class events that occurred today? And then for a giggle question, recreate the most awkward sound you've heard today.
So many sounds.
We're hoping
can
armpit
come.
noises.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Fart
random
jokes.
fart joke.
There might have been some interesting songs being heard and sung in a different way, or maybe someone's voice is going through some changes and they sound a little funny. There's a lot of awkward sounds. What I like about our serious questions is they tap into gamification, right? This idea of play, this idea of and social element, right? Who did you talk with today? What did you talk about?
Right.
And it taps into the
There's movement.
the movement piece,
Authenticity.
the authenticity of titling your class. Like if you were to give your class a chapter title, what title? And that's very abstract thinking, higher order thinking. Woo! But it could be, they took away from the class that so and so is never going to be my partner again.
Fair enough, right?
Which is fair enough. And then we also tapped into the hormones and and feelings in a lot of ways, and what shocked you about the events of the day, looking at the dopamine levels, right? Thinking about what sparks joy. That idea of shock could spark joy. It could also spark other things, but we're
Hopefully
going for
joy.
joy.
And all of those pre-questions can kind of help guide their emotions or where you're going with the final question of what was the most fun thing you did today? Because now their brain's working on lots of different levels, and it's not just a cold start from here. So you may possibly get a better response. But also, just to be able to listen for where the fun is occurring, it's likely that it might not be the most educational part of their day, because there's so much more going on in their middle school brain. Because it's just middle school. Exit ticket time. Exit ticket time.
It's just middle school. Fun happens, but it does have many varying definitions.
It's just middle school. To a student, fun can be disconnected from the classroom, even though lessons are fun and engaging.
It's just middle school. Rethinking fun as engagement instead of amusement may help assess whether it is occurring.
We hope you had fun joining us today, and that you have more fun discussing these with your middle schooler.
This has been
It's Just Middle School
with Sarah.
And Kelly.
Join us next time when we talk about
Student leadership.
So, Kelly, what are some other good fun questions we can ask?
Did someone fart in class today?
Was it
Was
you?
it
The cheese touch. Who has it now? Don't touch me.
What did you really think about lunch on a scale of gag to vomit?
How many balls did you juggle at recess?
No! Spherical objects! Spherical objects!